Hey guys, welcome back. Another quick update on the car. Some stuff I've been working on it. Went through, some of you guys might remember how rusty the engine bay was before. Went through and used a Dremel and a flapper wheel and went along all the edges throughout here and all along the frame rail and whatnot, and cleaned all that rust up. Cleaned it up with the flapper wheel on a Dremel and a wire brush wheel, and went through. Once I had everything nice and cleaned, rust treated all of it, and then primed it. Put some extra seam sealer around in some areas where it wasn't before, areas where it tended to rust all along through here. So I seam sealed all of that to help keep it from rusting again. And areas like right through here, it was a bit rusty underneath the seam sealer here, so I ground all that out and re-seam sealed it after rust treating it and whatnot. So hopefully that should keep it from rusting again. I mean, there's a little bit underneath the fender, but I'm not really worried about that since you won't see it. But yeah, so seam sealed it, and then painted it with the same silver that I used to paint the rest of the car, if you can see it. Yeah, it matches fairly well. I mean, it's not like it's got a lot more flake than the factory color, but it's fairly close as far as the hue goes. It's close enough. I'm not really worried about it. So but anyway, so I did all that. Quite a bit of other stuff too, donated from the Evo half cut. This is the Evo coolant overflow. This bracket's from the Evo. This dryer's from the Evo, and then of course all the fancy bolts that I bought a while back. So yeah, it turned out pretty good. It looks a heck of a lot better than it did, that's for sure. And that's really all that matters. So, but yeah, so that's the update. There's not a whole lot to see at the moment, but that looks a ton better. So all that. This is what the original factory bracket looked like. So yeah, that's thank goodness I had that Evo half cut and it was in fairly good shape, because I got a lot of good parts off of that. Merrill's fender braces. But yeah, started working on the engine. We got the crankshaft in, and all the bearings done, the oil squirters in, and installed a piston and rod, and found out, oh hey, yeah, it's a 2.3 stroker. It doesn't quite clear the bottom of the cylinder walls, so I had to take it all back apart, and I've got most of it clearanced already. One cylinder's done. The other 3 cylinders, I've got half of them done, so I just have to finish the other sides of them, which I'll probably do on Friday, or Saturday. But yeah, so I got to get that done. I lost the balance data sheet for my Manly crankshaft, if it even came with one. I'm not sure if it did. I know it's been balanced by Manly, but I'm not sure what the specs are on it, so I got to get the spec sheet from them. And once I've got that, then I should have everything to go ahead and assemble the bottom end once I get the block cleaned back up from all the work I've been doing with the die grinder and some carbide bits to clean it out. But yeah, once everything's clearanced, I just have to measure piston to wall clearance, and I still need to measure my clearance for my rods, oil clearance for the rods. Oil clearance for the mains was 2/1000 inch, and I haven't done thrust clearance yet. Just having the crank set in there with it not being torqued down, it had 3/1000, which is loose end of spec, but I imagine it'll tighten up a little bit probably when we torque it down. Even still, I mean, it's in spec, so it's not a huge deal. But got all that done. Really, there's not a whole lot else going on. I picked up my stock turbo back up. Probably going to rebuild that with a 20G wheel and a bigger cold side, and then use that to break the motor in and get prepared. Because right now, one of my buddies donated an Act 2100 HD clutch. It's in that box down there, and it's got about half of its life left on it. and I'm going to use that, which it's supposed to be good to 550 foot-pounds, which I'll be making more than that on the big turbo, so I can't really use that clutch with the big turbo, but I can definitely use it with the smaller turbo. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is install it all with the stock turbo with a 20G wheel in it, and probably tune it for around 400 horsepower. So yeah, that'll be good. But hopefully, I'm hoping, I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm hoping to have the rotating assembly all finished this weekend, if possible, and I'll be pretty happy if I get that far. But anyway, yeah, I figured you guys would want to see how that turned out, because it looks amazing compared to what it did. I mean, I'm no painter. Ignore the paint runs. These aren't the droids you're looking for. But anyway, it looks better than it did. It looks a whole lot better than having all the rust to draw your eyes away from the motor. So once the engine's in, it'll draw your attention, and you won't have the big brown rust spots drawing your attention away from the motor, and you won't notice the couple little paint runs that are here and there. These are actually, they're flat. It's not really a paint run so much as it is just the flake running, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. This paint, it looks like it runs, and then you spray over it again, and then it doesn't look like it anymore. It's really weird stuff, but it'll work. I'm fine with it. So but yeah, anyway, so that's the update on the car. Hopefully I'll have an actual update with the motor soon. What I'd really like to see is me dropping it Memorial Day weekend, but who knows? I still have some other stuff I have to figure out. I have to find a retaining clip for that 2100 HD clutch. I have my stock retaining clip around here somewhere. I don't think it's bent. If it seems good, I'll probably just see if that'll work. I don't know if the stock retaining clip will work with that clutch, but we'll figure it out. And once I have that, I should be able to bolt the transmission onto the motor once the motor's together. And I think I've got everything to bolt it together. I have to make a run to the pull yard this weekend because my rocker arms are no good. Go figure. So I have to go pull a couple sets of rocker arms. But turns out they're the same rocker arms that are in the 6G72. So I should be able to just go grab a couple sets out of Gallants and Eclipses and random cars that use that motor. So there's plenty of them out there. So it shouldn't be a big deal finding them. But pull a couple of sets of those. And I need an idle air control valve for this car. And the 4G63 uses the same one as the 4G64. So again, that should be quite easy to find in the pull yard. That's better. So yeah, I'll get all that stuff bought, and hopefully have that motor together, or at least the rotating assembly together, within 2 weeks. And throwing the head on it, I don't have to assemble the head. I just have to throw it on and bolt it down, and throw the valve cover on it, and we can drop the motor in the car. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll have a bigger update for you guys here soon. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. Fancy. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and sorry if this isn't as big of an update as you guys wanted, but I'm still pretty happy about it. This rust was one of my biggest pet peeves with this car. Like, I absolutely hate the way rust just destroys the look of an engine bay, in my opinion. So having all this stuff nice and cleaned up really makes a big difference. Oh yeah, since it's all clearanced, I can show you maybe the clearancing we had to do to the cross, or the K-frame there. We ended up having to clearance that out. Dad welded a reinforcement plate on there. You can kind of see it. So that should strengthen it up a bit since we had to clearance it so much. I had heard that it would just fit. Some guys said that they were running the Evo transfer case with no problems and it didn't hit, but I just bolted it up and it wasn't even close to fitting, so we had to clearance it out. But after doing that, everything's perfect, so it's no big deal. But yeah, just something to note if you're wanting to attempt a swap like this. That's something you'll have to take care of. So, But anyway, so yeah, that's the update. And yeah, hopefully I'll have another update for you guys next week or so with the stroker engine. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll see you guys next time.